All right, everybody, it's Andreas Hale, senior combat sports writer for the Sporting News. And it's my pleasure to talk with the founder, the CEO, the one who brought ONE FC to this world, Chatri Sityodtong. How you doing, sir? How are you doing? Big fight week coming.
Yes, thank you for having me, Andreas. It's huge. I've been doing media interviews all day. Last few days, I got to the States on Monday, and the overwhelming feeling I have is one, everything feels surreal that we're finally throwing our first event here in the US. But on a personal level, I have a very deep sense of gratitude because my life has come full circle. I lived in the States for over 18 years. At one point I had, one suitcase with all of my life's belongings, eating one meal a day, struggling in poverty. My mom living with me in my dorm room at school. I was sleeping on the floor. She's sleeping on the bed. And to think that, 25 years later plus, here I am coming back to this incredible country that gave me so much, gave me an incredible education, gave me the opportunity to escape poverty, live the American dream, have enough financial resources to start one, and now bringing the entire world of martial arts to American fans, something they've never seen before, an entirely unique, differentiated product from the birthplace of martial arts, Asia, 5,000-year history of martial arts, and bringing the very best fighters on the planet across all disciplines from everywhere, 80 different countries, and showcasing the very best of the best, and coming to Colorado and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, free and live on Amazon Prime. 3 world title fights, headlined by the trilogy matchup between Adriano Moraes and Demetrious Johnson. They both knocked each other out in their previous 2 bouts. And this third one with a big twist. DJ just announced 3 or 4 days ago that this could be his last fight. It could be his retirement fight. The GOAT is retiring. Don't miss it. Fans all over the world, they if you want to watch the greatest of all time, say goodbye. What a way to go. And home turf in the US against his toughest rival. The only man to ever knock him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible fight card, and I've been watching ONE for a while. And, with the Prime Video deal, a lot of fans have gotten a chance to see what you guys are doing out there. But the state debut is long overdue for a lot of us. We've heard great things about overseas, how well you do. Now, I think there was a time around 2019 before the pandemic that you tried to have a show here. But now that it's actually happening, 2023, with this trilogy fight with one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, Demetrious Johnson, did the timing actually kind of work out better in this case?
Yeah, obviously, in hindsight, it did. We were ready to come. We were going to launch in the U.S. on ground, call it the end of 2020, but obviously the pandemic hit in March of 2020, February, March of 2020. And so it delayed, it threw things off by about 2.5 years or so. But here we are. And yeah, we wouldn't have a trilogy for sure. But at the same time, there's just being on the Amazon platform. The Amazon partnership kicked off in August of this year. So we love the Amazon partnership. We love the Amazon team. I think Marie Donohue's done an incredible job as global head of sports to steer Amazon and lead the charge, obviously with Thursday Night Football and ONE. And so just very grateful to be on such an incredible platform like Amazon.
I mean, again, this is a trilogy fight. I want to go back. Once upon a time, there was a trade. Demetrious Johnson for Ben Askren. Since then, Demetrious Johnson seems like he's been even more rejuvenated since that loss to Henry Cejudo. And by the time he left and showed up in ONE FC, people wondered what was going to be Demetrious Johnson's legacy. And I think we've seen one of the greatest versions of Demetrious Johnson that we've ever seen. What do you make of this deal? Because if it didn't happen, you wouldn't have one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. It kind of worked out for you. This might have been one of the most lopsided trades in professional sports history.
Yeah, so basically what it was, I think DJ. I was not personally involved in the trade discussions. It was Matt Hume and I believe Hunter Campbell on the other side. DJ had wanted to leave. He had a few fights left. He wanted to depart on amicable terms with the UFC. He wanted to join ONE. And I think Hunter asked, okay, well, can we have Ben Askren, who was already retired for 2 years with a career-ending hip injury. His hip had ground down to the bone after years of wrestling and whatnot. And so we said, yeah, okay, that totally makes sense. And Ben came out of retirement again after having been inactive for a few years, and he never even actually fixed his hip. And so, yeah, I feel like we were very lucky in that, and who knows if there are more trades in the future, but we're grateful to have DJ. When DJ got knocked out last year by Adriano, or rather the year before, oh no, it was last year. No, yeah, year before. Yep. There's big question marks, but DJ has bounced back, and I agree. There's no athlete in the world that has won the 2 major world titles on opposite sides of the planet, on the 2 largest global combat sports properties, UFC and ONE, in history. And DJ is the only man to do it. And that's incredible.
I mean, not only is it incredible, I mean, there was a time when Demetrious Johnson was with the UFC, and some people didn't like to interview DJ. He didn't talk a lot. He was very quiet. This version of DJ is so much more engaging. Again, it seems like once he came overseas and saw what you had to offer over at ONE and Unified MMA rules, I mean, there's so much there. It feels like something changed in him, that he became bigger than he was before. How is your relationship with DJ, and have you seen this transformation of this man? And maybe it's because he's getting closer to the end of his career, but he just seems like he is so much more happy where he's at right now.
Yeah, I think, well, I am pretty close with DJ. He and I get along very well. Yeah, that's the thing he said most. He said, Chatri, the thing that I most appreciate is how happy everyone is here. The athletes are happy. The staff is happy. He's happy. And so it all rubs off. The energy rubs off, and he's able to, deliver the best performances of his life. He's genuinely in a good place in life, a good place. And so it's cool. It's cool that DJ, who's a really, really good guy, first and foremost, he's an incredible human being, good guy with a man with a heart of gold, who happens to be the GOAT of mixed martial arts.
Let me ask you, because obviously, again, targeting your stateside debut for the company, and ONE is making a splash here. Some people question why Colorado. I want to ask that, but I also want to ask, I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want you to reveal your plans, but it feels like this is the start of something bigger where we can see ONE in the States a little bit more often.
Definitely. I'd say this is day one of our U.S. expansion. We have big plans, and actually, Amazon is pretty happy with our numbers, that they exceed their internal forecasts, and we're now in discussions on how to broaden and deepen the partnership. So we're very excited. Amazon wants to help build a ONE in the US, and let's see. I mean, the Amazon team will be at the event next week. But I agree with you. This is just the very beginning. This is not an experiment. This is not a test. This is, it's the beginning. And what's shocking for me, okay, I'll be very upfront with you here. In January, my team, we announced the event is coming May 5th. We put up a ticket link and a few fights. Within a week and a half, 70% of the tickets were sold. Then several weeks ago, it completely sold out. And I'm kicking myself because my team will pound the table with me. Let's go for a big stadium. Let's go for a mega stadium, and we'll sell, we'll pack it. And I just thought, hey man, we're brand new in the US. Maybe hardcore fans, maybe martial arts practitioners, they really know ONE, but for the most part, we're a brand new nascent brand in ONE. So I was, to be honest, I was very pleasantly surprised that we sold out the arena. I think it's about 7,000 capacity. And it's just, very, very surprising. But at the same time, it's very encouraging too. The fact that we've never been on ground here. We just began broadcasting on a monthly basis on Amazon Prime in August, and fans are already rabid about our product.
The one of the things I think fans like most that have not watched one before is the high finishing rate because of the rule. The rule
Yes.
said it leads to a much higher frequency for finishes, and those finishes tend to go viral because especially DJ's recent knockout of Moraes, people went nuts over that. Using social media as a tool, you have a tremendous social media following as it is. It feels like this also can help the growth of the company because more finishes means more fans because nobody likes things more than a finish in a fight. And you guys give them out in spades. Talk about the rule set, how important it is to this company and how it helps going viral was so, I think it's a 70% finish rate for your fights. Am I correct in that?
Right.
That's insane.
Right. We have a 70% finish rate versus UFC and Bellator, they're around 35 and 40% finish rate. And well, here's the thing. There's a few reasons why we have such a high finish rate. Number one, it's the DNA and the ethos of martial arts from the birthplace of martial arts in Asia. Why was martial arts created in the very first place? It was created to defend yourself in a life-threatening situation. It's a home invasion, a mugger, a thief, back in the day. And what has been lost in the recent unified rule set, and not all the time, but in some UFC fights, is the gamification of fighting. The 10-point must system. Last second set, I can win a fight, quote unquote. Last second, 10 seconds of each round, just go for double leg and lay and pray. If I do that 3 times in 3 rounds, I win the fight. That's not a fight to me. That's not martial arts. That's no different than tag or hide and seek. It's a game and you're playing the game. In one, because of our DNA and our martial arts ethos, we want that killer instinct. We want that finishing as the ethos of martial arts, the DNA. It's not a game. And I think the rich history of martial arts, 5,000-year history in Asia, has that kind of like spirit imbued into one championship. But also, the global rule set is very conducive to a high finish rate and that martial arts ethos that I talked about. When you judge a fight, which the global rule set does in its entirety, so it's as if it's one big round as opposed to 3 rounds. It's like a street fight. It's like real martial arts, meaning that let's say you and I get into a fight and I hit you 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 for 3 minutes, but I'm not going full power because I'm trying to pitter patter win points on you. And in the last 10 seconds of that street fight, you land big overhand right, left hook, and I'm rocked and I'm about to pass out. And so my friends jump in and et cetera. Who won the street fight? You did, because
yes, of course.
Yeah, because I hit you 1-2s for 3 minutes straight, and you hit me, and I'm only twice, and I'm rocked and about to go out, and so my friends have to jump and stop the fight. That is the power of a DNA ethos of martial arts, a finishing mindset, but a rule set that favors that. You see, in unified rule set, okay, if I was doing pitter patter 1-2 on you for 3 rounds, and in the last 10 seconds you land these big blows, and I'm staggered, and the bell rings, under unified rules, I win the fight because the first 2.5 rounds I'm pitter pattering you, and I won the rounds. This is the fundamental problem. It's a gamification. It becomes a gamification of a physical activity. It's no longer a fight. When you have the global rule set that judges in entirety, you're not being rewarded for pitter-pattering me, or I'm not being rewarded for pitter-pattering you. What are the criteria for a full fight, a street fight? How close did I knock you out? Did I choke you out? How close was I to finishing you? And were you damaged? That's how you would judge a street fight, right? That's how you judge a confrontation, a real life confrontation, a robber, a mugger, a murderer trying to kill you. You're not going to pitter patter. You're like, I got to end this thing or I'll lose my life. You got to knock him the hell out, or you got to choke him the hell out. Whatever it is, you got to finish the fight. So the global rule set really is. Then there's little things on the global rule set that are big things. Knees to a grounded opponent are legal. They are illegal in unified rules. So what happens is, if I do lay and pray on you, okay, I get you to side control and I'm just sitting there. I'm very comfortable with side control. I don't have to worry about anything. On the bottom too, you actually can just sit there and wait, because under the global rule set, I'm on top on side control. You can knee me in the head, but at the same time, you're on the bottom. I'm on top. I can knee you in the head. So it creates engagement, it creates knockout, it creates danger. And again, that all these things put together is why we have a 78% finish rate. And again, that's what I'm saying. I'm so excited for American fans to see this. They've never seen anything like this before in history. It's again, we are the biggest thing to happen to combat sports in decades in America. It's fresh, it's new, it's exciting, it's unique, it's differentiated. It's something never seen before in America. The very best of the best fighters on the planet across the different disciplines with incredible high finish rates, the excitement factor, and then of course our production value. There's nothing like it in the States as well. So people are going to be blown away, and it's just it's the perfect time.
It is the perfect time, and I'm glad you mentioned the perfect time, because everybody knows the juggernaut in the room is the UFC, but it feels like you guys have what it takes to be an actual viable alternative. Not only the global rules, the fact that you include other disciplines, the fact that you have global fighters, everything feels like it's the perfect storm to be the competition for the UFC, but not playing the same game. You guys are playing a completely different game and offering a true alternative. Is the United States the last piece of that puzzle to prove that you're the greatest MMA promotion in the world?
Yes, I think the U.S. market is the largest market in the world. It is whether it's NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, collegiate ball, UFC. It's an incredibly rich market for sports, and I feel like having success here in America is the final kind of like cherry on top of the global sports property. I don't know if you saw a year ago, Nielsen, the rating agency, came out with an industry report on the top 20 largest global sports properties. And we were surprised, but one ranked top 5 in the world on unique TV viewership, on social media organic videos, and digital organic video views across all the different platforms. And we knew we were growing very fast. We just didn't know how fast or how big we were relative to the other top 20 players. But it's very fascinating because on TV or unique viewership, annual unique viewership numbers, we were at 405, 410 million, around there. And UFC was at 259 million. And Bellator was at 11 million. And that, rounded out the top 20. And it's great to have the 3 combat sports properties there. But, we were ranked number 4 or something, or 5, I can't remember, on TV viewership, and UFC was like an 8 or 9. It's just incredible. We had no idea, and it was an incredible just to know that. And then on organic video views, we were actually number 2 in the world, behind NBA. That's just also mind blowing. All these top players have been around for 70 years or 100 years. So I feel like there's something right that our athletes are doing. There's something right that my team is doing in terms of bringing authentic martial arts from the birthplace of martial arts to the world. And we have athletes from all over the world, 80 different countries. If I'm not mistaken, UFC has 60 different countries. And it's basically, one is the Olympics of martial arts, because you have all the different disciplines, the best of the best going at it under different rule sets. It's just no different. Like when you watch Olympics, for example, which is the biggest sporting event in addition to the World Cup, you're watching, the 100-meter dash, you're watching the gymnastics, you're watching the boxing, you're watching, but what when you're watching the Olympics is these are the best of the best representing their country on the global stage. That is exactly what one is about, except it's all about fight sports. It's all about combat sports. It is Muay Thai, it's mixed martial arts, it's kickboxing, it's boxing, it's submission grappling, and the list goes on and on. So we've built this giant platform. UFC is the world's largest MMA organization. They focus solely on MMA. We're the world's largest martial arts organization. We have MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, submission grappling, etc. Our platform is bigger from that perspective. So these are very exciting times. There are 2 truly unique and differentiated global giants in the fight game. And I think the world is big enough. There's 8 billion people in the world.
The fact that you're touching down here means that not only you're going to attract more fans, but you also have the potential to attract more fighters. And I know you're happy with the rosters that you have, but you can never could turn down a great fighter if he wants to come to one. Do you think this is going to be possible at this point, making the stateside debut? It's not like I don't want to say bad things about Bellator, but Bellator usually gets fighters on the tail ends of their career that leave the UFC. But it seems like there's an opportunity here with a lot of UFC fighters being vocal about fighter pay, for instance, or opportunities that they may be able to come to one and find a home. I'm not saying you're targeting them, but are the doors open for talent to come through to one now?
So we have talent scouts all over the world that are always keeping tabs. 5 years ago, we did kind of have, let's get some cream of the crop, the very best UFC fighters in their prime, like a Sage Northcutt, who was, I think, on a 4-fight win streak. Eddie Alvarez, I think, was number 4 ranked lightweight at the time when he left the UFC to join ONE, and DJ and Vitor Belfort and a bunch of that, right? Of all the UFC fighters, only DJ had success in ONE. I think it speaks to the level of talent. A lot of the UFC talent got knocked out or got finished, et cetera. Our investment didn't quite pan out as we had hoped. On the flip, and then DJ got knocked out a year and a half ago. Then I'm like, oh man, like that's just we were like, why did we? At the same time, now, our investment in DJ is bearing fruit. So I think we're going to be opportunities. The most important thing, Andreas, is that we want the very best fighters on the planet. So whether they're former UFC fighters, current UFC fighters, whether they're, rising stars that you've never heard of, but have all the right skill sets and toolbox and fight IQ and raw athleticism, explosive power and cardio and all that, all the attributes that we look for in an athlete. We just want to have the very best fighters on the planet that in each discipline. So whether they're UFC or not, I think it's that's kind of a side point. We're not necessarily. I don't even know how many actually former UFC athletes we have anymore on the one roster.
Yeah, I mean it's not a lot. Yeah,
it might be two. It might be 2 or 3 right now because again, like I said, it just didn't pan out.
In the United States, also, a lot of, in terms of marketability, some fighters are more marketable than others in the States. You have 2 fighters on your roster that I think would do extremely well. Angela Lee and her brother Christian Lee. I think they have, people in MMA have talked about these 2 for a long, long time. Yep. Now, obviously, they're not making their stateside debut here on this card, but it feels like it's in the making. Can you kind of talk about their potential star power? Because they're tremendous fighters as is, and their family members, they have a fantastic story and also a tragic story, but it's one that fans can truly sink their teeth into. How big can these 2 be once they land in the States?
So there's a big if, Andreas. I don't know if they will ever return to competition. I genuinely don't know that.
Right.
And here's why. They obviously lost their younger sister, 18-year-old Victoria Lee, back in December. And I went to visit them in Hawaii, the family, and visit Victoria's resting place. And this was 2-3 weeks ago. And there's a lot of healing still that needs to be done for not just Christian and Angela, but also for Ken and Jules, their parents.
Right.
That I don't think they're even thinking about. Competition is not even on their mind. So these kind of family tragedies can make you or break you, change you for life. It might change your perspective. They don't want anything to do with martial arts ever again. Or they because of the association of just, you used to train with your brothers and sisters, and then one of them is no longer there in the same gym you're in. They shut down their gym. So I really, there's a big question mark. And do they have the talent? Do they have the marketability? They are the, amongst the pound for pound greats for sure, across any organization. They have it all. Marketability, they have it all. But, tragedies impact people, change people in different ways. Maybe Christian wants to spend time more with his family. He has, he has a family he has to look after, and Angela as well. So these are all big question marks. So I wish I could say yes, but in theory, I agree with you. They could be massive US stars if they came back to action and were able to perform at the levels they performed before the tragedy.
Couple more for you. One, the development of Sage Northcutt. Sage Northcutt was a fighter who, once he left he was young. And I think a lot of people don't get it, but MMA isn't a young man's game. It takes a lot of maturation to understand and get it in this sport. Can you talk about what you've seen out of Sage? Obviously, he's fighting on this card, but his development, for a lot of people who the last time they saw him was in the UFC, he's a completely different fighter now.
Yeah. So Sage, again, is one of those, I call Sage a specimen. He's literally one of those 1 in 8 billion human beings. He's phenomenally athletic, unbelievably explosive, incredible balance. Roth has an incredible cardio. He can go for days on end at max top speed. And he's incredible lifelong martial art. His skill set's incredible. People don't realize how good his ground game is. People don't realize how good his striking is. He had a very unlucky start at one, getting knocked out by Cosmo Alexander, and getting his face broken into, I think, 8 different places with a single punch. We didn't anticipate that because he was on a win streak in the UFC. I think he won 3 or 4 in a row, and then before deciding to leave UFC to join ONE. And at the time, I think he was only 22, 23, still very young, and he's still a very young guy. But there's going to be a lot of question marks, right? I'm rooting for Sage. I love him. But is he going to come back and be gun shy on May 5th? Have all the skills, but not be able to pull the trigger because of what happened to him when he got knocked out? Or is he going to be a new 2.0 Sage who has rested, rejuvenated, and upgraded all his skills in the last 3-4 years when he was out of action? We might see an entirely new, dangerous Sage who can go on a crazy run and become world champion. Sage still wants to be a multiple sport world champion, and that's the beauty of the ONE platform, is that you're not restricted by one rule set. If you want to be an MMA world champion and a kickboxing world champion, you can go for it simultaneously, Stamp Fairtex, for example, tried that. She was unsuccessful in her attempt. She lost to Angeli for the world title in mixed martial arts, but she was at once upon a time simultaneous Muay Thai world champion and kickboxing world champion in the atomweight division. Stamp Fairtex, so that's the cool thing. You can create your own legacy. You can craft your own future based on your skill set, based on your ambition level. I mean, let's take like Roberto Soldic, the 2-division KSW champion, arguably the hottest free agent in several years that went to market. He had a big offer from UFC, Bellator, and us, and he chose us because of our platform. It wasn't restricted only to mixed martial arts, a very narrow rule set, a unified rule set. He could express his art, his abilities, and he wants to literally win world titles in boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA across the board. And ONE gave him that platform, that opportunity to do so. Let's see if he's able to do it. But I applaud Roberto. He definitely has incredible talent, like extraordinary talent. One punch KO power. He has an 85% finish rate. Most of his KOs come in the first round. He just hits like a truck. He's an unbelievable fighter. So I'm really excited for his US debut next week on May 5th. That's one to watch out because he's facing actually Sebastian Kadestam, who also has like an 80% KO rate, a one punch KO power. So this card is going to be a fun card for American fans. Again, 3 world title fights across 3 different disciplines, mixed martial arts, Muay Thai, and submission grappling. Then you've got the comeback story of Sage Northcutt against Ahmed Mustafa from Pakistan, a very dangerous striker. And then you've got Roberto Soldic versus Sebastian Kadestam, one punch KO power, 2 of Europe's finest MMA striking athletes, just unbelievable. And then you have Stamp Fairtex against Elise Anderson. The winner of that fight gets a title shot, automatic title shot. So it's a title contender shot fight. This is just like the cards are just going to be a really, really fun card for the fans.
One of my last questions is division for division. A lot of people continue to say, well, the UFC has the best fighters in the world. But if you match your champions against their champions, I want you to give me 3 matchups that you think that, because I'm not asking you to be biased, it's your promotion, but what are the best champion versus champion fights that could happen between ONE and the UFC? Maybe these things never happen, but if we had to fantasize for a second, what fights do you think that would be a hell of a fight between these 2 champions?
So I think DJ obviously is still the GOAT and would take out, I think the champion right now, who's the champion? I think it's Marino. I'm not
Brandon
sure.
Marino.
Is it? Yeah, I think so, right? For DJ's weight class. I think DJ is just too good. would take out Brandon. I'd love to do a UFC 1 event. First of all, I think we'd win more than 50% of the matches, champion versus champion. Again, and why do I say that? I don't look at the marketing rhetoric or the hype. I look as a lifelong martial artist. I look at the skill set. I look at the physical attributes of explosive cardio and et cetera. But the skill set is very important. Huh? How good is their striking? How good is their ground game? How good is their submission? How good is their transitions? How good is their cage work? These are all things that you have to look at with a naked eye, not with all this kind of like how many followers on social media. Oh, the guy's a really good trash. No, just look at their raw skill sets. What are they working with? Then you can layer on, their win rate and knockout rate, and then you build on what kind of titles have they won in their career, what's their backstory, do they have a killer instinct, all the other stuff. And that's why I say, folks like a DJ versus Brandon Marine, I think DJ would run over him. I think, let me think. I have to go through our I think Anatoly Malikin would dominate the heavyweight division. It'd be a tough fight against John Jones, obviously, very, very, very tough heavyweight. But Anatoly could go both striking or on the ground. Actually has better wrestling than John Jones. So it'd be very fascinating. That would be a really intriguing matchup. Anatoly also holds a light heavyweight title. Who's a light heavyweight champion right now in the UFC?
Light heavyweight champion right now is Jamal Hill.
UFC. Yeah, so I think Anatoly would take him out. And I mean, I don't mean any disrespect. Again, I'm just looking. I try my best to be as an educated lifelong martial artist. These are my opinions, of course. I'm not, I'm trying to be. Where would UFC? Where would UFC give? I think Israel Adesanya versus Renier Derrida would be very intriguing. Renier is a submission artist, I think, also with a 80% finish rate on the ground. Adesanya obviously is incredible, extraordinary striker, not as adept on the ground as Derrida. I would give the edge probably to Adesanya, but again, that one's a very tight one. Maybe depends on the day, Then I would say lightweight Christian Lee. Who's the lightweight champion right now in UFC?
Islam Makhachev.
Okay, Islam versus Christian Lee. That would be a very, very fun one.
That would be fun.
That would be a very, because Islam has the better wrestling, but doesn't have the submission skills that Christian has. Christian is very slick on the ground. Both are not very good strikers. I wouldn't say they're world-class strikers, just to be very frank. So that would be a very fun fight. I think that's a 50-50 fight. I think, let's see. Who's the current bantamweight? Is Aljo versus Henry Cejudo, right? Next week. So, Aljo's a pretty tough guy. Yeah. So, even the female divisions would be very fun. I was thinking about, Angela Lee versus any of their strawweights would be very, very fun. Again, I'm blanking on who the UFC strawweight world champion is for the female
Those titles
division.
changed hands so fast. So the current strawweight champion is Alexa Grasso, who beat Valentina Shevchenko.
Okay. Right. That one would be a very, very fun fight as well. Like, wow, you know all your champions off the top of your head. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Obviously, I know all of the one champions off the top of my head, but I don't know all the other champions from the other organizations off the top of my head.
No, it's no problem. I mean, the thing is, the UFC champions have changed hands so many times in the past 24 months. So I wouldn't expect you to remember all the champions. It's almost impossible. But you guys have a tremendous stable of fighters. Now, my last question is this. This is Cinco de Mayo weekend. And in the States, it's a huge week. Now, in the world of combat, it's even bigger because you have Canelo fighting in Guadalajara. You have UFC 288. You in WWE in Puerto Rico. You have Bad Bunny and Damian Priest and Brock Lesnar. You guys have Friday all to yourself, though. So if I'm a combat sports fan, maybe a casual, sell me real quick on why I absolutely need to watch your card outside of the main event, because your card is absolutely loaded. And some people don't know you do have grappling and you do have Muay Thai and you have some excellent fights on the card. But give me 3 fights that a casual fan absolutely must tune in on.
to all the Latinos and Latinas in America who want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, support Edgar Tabarez, WBC, Mexico's first and only WBC Muay Thai world champion. He's fighting one world champion, Brotang, a KO monster machine. Both of them hit very hard. It's going to be an electrifying, and I think it's going to end in a KO. Come for that. Then come and watch the rest of the card, because you're going to see Roberto Solis versus Karistam, 2 KO strikers with 85% finish rate. Somebody's getting knocked out cold on that one. Come for Mikey Musumeci versus Osama. These are 2 of the best grapplers on the planet in submission grappling. Somebody's getting finished. Mikey Musumeci is arguably, alongside the Cade and Ty Rule Toller brothers, amongst the pound-for-pound greatest grapplers on the planet right now. Come for the fireworks that Stan Fairtex and Elise Anderson. It's a title contender fight. Incredible. Stamp is a Muay Thai world champion by background. Elise is a true mixed martial artist training out of American Top Team. I think she's 7-1 or 8-1. I can't remember. But this is a title contention fight. They both go at a very, very high pace, and they love to finish. At the end of the day, if you are a fight fan, where else in the world are you going to be able to experience live the world's greatest champion martial arts across different disciplines with a 70% finish rate? 70% finish rate. Happy Cinco de Mayo. If you love fights, come join us on May 5th.
Beautiful. Chatri, I appreciate the time so much. I'm looking forward to this event on next Friday for Cinco de Mayo. And I hope the next time we talk, we'll be discussing the next time in the United States. I'm in Las Vegas. I'd love if you guys would come here, but wherever you show up, I'd love to be there. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, thank you, Andres. I really appreciate your time, man. Take care, buddy.
All right. Take it easy.